plea, looking for her partner, Dalton Olson's son, Samuel Olson. Samuel Olson had just gone missing. Let's look at the timeline of it here. Samuel Olson had just been claimed missing from, I think, the 27th, May 27th this year, 2021. And they're now doing this plea to the TV saying, please help us find our son. And it's an interesting look at deception, because later what it appears happens is that Theresa Balboa had murdered the child. So we're going to look at this video. Obviously, as you can already tell, there are some pretty adult themes in this. So this is definitely not a video for kids or the faint of heart. I also want to make clear, I don't intend on making this video as a way of celebrating or glorifying or trying not to get too much into the sort of profiting off the gore and car crash of watching this kind of a thing. What I am fascinated by and why I am looking at it is because I'm really interested in persuasion strategies, and I'm really interested in deception as well. And I think this is a really interesting interview. This and the next interview we're going to look at, which is of this chap, Caleb Whisnand, who is in the background here of this shot. Where is that? Up here. Similar situation. And I want to look at these two videos because I think they're a fascinating look at how people lie and try to persuade, what makes us, what we can look for if we're looking for lies. What I do want to say though is this is an incredibly inexact science. Hello, g'day Bansor. Deception detection is an incredibly inexact science. There are polygraphs. Everybody seems to be well aware of this by now. Polygraphs are not an effective way of determining deception, or not a reliable way, I should say, of determining deception, nor are many of the things that I'm going to talk about. And I'm not an expert in this field. So what we're going to do here is a bit of sort of breakdown discussion of this video to look at what are the clues that you might look at to go, is this person really telling the truth? Storyline as a bit about it that has led up to this point is the mother of this child who's has said, I'm looking for the child. She's meant to have been taking her kid Samuel Olson back into her custody, and she said, my husband, who I believe might have substance abuse issues, he's meant to be back in my custody now. He's not there. At which point Theresa Balboa says, oh yeah, she turned up last week with a fake cop, somebody who told me they were a cop, and I just believed them. They took the child. I haven't seen the child since then. And that's her first story. And then next she's come to this news story where she said, we don't know, he's gone missing. We're looking for him. So this is a bit where she's been found. They're out flyering the neighborhood, and I think they've just been door stopped by a camera crew. So what I think is interesting about that, or worth noting, is I don't think she's had any time to prepare any lies here. I don't think she's gotten straight on her story with her boyfriend yet. The official story at this stage, and all of this is alleged, I should say, is that at this moment right now, Samuel Olson, the body of Samuel Olson, is at home in a plastic tub in their bathroom, and both of them are fully aware that the child is dead. The story is that her boyfriend Dalton went out. She has a bit of a violence problem. She's currently on bail for beating him up. Apparently she assaulted him, and she's on bail, and he came home, found it, and then they're both seeking now to cover it up. So this interview, first we'll start with looking at the boyfriend's interview. He does look to me quite distraught, even though the suggestion is now that he knew his son was dead at home in a bathtub. He does look distraught about it, to me anyway. But let's just get that properly sorted out. Let's go to face and screening. I don't know why there's this bar at the top. It does go away after a bit.
L-T-O-N-O-L-S-O-N.
Dalton, this must be some rough times. Can you tell me what it's been like?
I feel like I'm living in a nightmare I can't wake up from. No parent should ever have to feel this. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm at a loss for words, man.
I understand. Have the police told you anything or given you any...
We're doing our best right now to get out there and search for him. We're trying to cooperate and give them everything We've given them everything that we can. Any little information we think is important or even as insignificant as we think it is, we still hand it over. So we're just trying to do everything we can to play our part to help bring my son home safe, because that's all that matters at the end of today is please help me find my son.
What was your son's name?
His name is Samuel Olson. He just turned 6 years old.
So what is interesting about this to me is his Samuel Olson, he's 6 years old. This is the first we are hearing of any specific information. Typically when people give police interviews, and you can compare this to the grandmother's one, where she just immediately is
He is the sweetest, kindest, most loving child. He's so smart. He loves dinosaurs. He can tell you which ones are herbivores and carnivores, and he puts them in the hibiscus trees and lets them eat. And
here it feels like she's giving specific information, albeit not the most useful information for tracking down the kid, but really useful information to get people to empathize, to get them to care enough. It sounds like she's being like, I really want you to know who this is. Whereas what is interesting is I do feel like I see a lot of grief in this guy who's the father. I mean, certainly from the story that's come out later, that could be the case, which is that he's come home and found that his son's murdered, and he is distraught about that. But living with this abusive partner, he's made the decision, really silly decision in my view, to cover up for her. But all of the first bits about what he said is, I'm
everything that we can.
We're giving everything that we can. We're cooperating with the police, which already shows that sense of what's most important to him now is protecting himself.
Information we think is important or even as insignificant as we think it is, we still hand it over. So we're just trying to do everything we can to play our part to help bring my son home safe, because that's all that matters at the end of the day.
And I do often wonder with these things if I feel like as humans we're able to maintain two competing thoughts in our mind at the same time. So on the one hand, he knows his son's dead, but at the same time can sort of maintain this completely irrational hope of maybe my son's coming home, and you often hear that about people, like, I know it's irrational, but I keep waiting for him to walk through the door. This idea of we will latch onto and keep a hold of a pleasing fantasy, even long after we know that it's not rational to believe that anymore, because it's better than coming to terms with the fact that my partner murdered my son.
Today is please help me find my son.
What was your son's name?
His name is Samuel Olson. He just turned 6 years old on the 29th.
And now he's finally giving some details.
And you said you're going to be passing out some flyers.
Yes, sir. We're all in the area.
Yeah.
We've been in the Pasadena, LaPorte area passing out flyers. Right now we're over here on the southwest side of Houston passing out flyers. We're going to go to the area where...
And so some of this is probably just maintaining his perception, maintaining the idea that he's a good person and he's doing the right thing. And then some of it also to me is just busy work, just doing something. Like he's saying, I haven't slept, and looking at his eyes there, I can easily believe that. I think there is some suggestion in this case that there is a fair bit of drug abuse in the relationship. He certainly looks like a tweaker to me. So that he's been up for days on meth and is struggling to sleep when he's not able to, and dipping into bits of heroin too. I'm just making assumptions here. So don't take any of that to the bank, but certainly, some of that grief and angst is there for me.
He was last seen, and we're going to pass out flyers. I mean, anywhere we can just hand out anything for somebody if they've seen something. I mean, any little bit of information will help.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So that's the end of that interview.
What do you think? Where do you think he could be?
Oops, I didn't mean to stop that. Let me just start that again. This is now Theresa Balboa. She is the one who
First off, if you say your name,
interviewed
spell
him
it for me.
My name is Dalton Olson, Dalton Olson.
Dalton, this must be some rough times. Can you tell me what it's been like?
I feel like I'm living in a nightmare I can't wake up from. No parent should ever have to feel this.
See, that's really genuine, isn't it?
Sleep.
That's the genuine thing you would expect to hear.
Area where
So now let's cut to her interview.
Where do you think he could be?
somewhere with not with us.
So they have this thing in deception detection they call question answer latency, which is what is the time between when I've finished asking the question and you've started answering. And for somebody who is honest, who is really keen to find a kid, there'll almost be none. There might be some like negative latency. They've started answering the question before you've even finished speaking. The amount of latency in this, the amount of time it takes some words to come out of her mouth and all of this like physical stuff that happens preceding that is pretty interesting to me. The other thing I'm interested in is something that I've heard described by the behavior panel where I found this video is what they call embedded confessions. I've long had this theory that when people lie, they often don't lie. So often parts of the truth, parts of the actual statement you would say if you were saying the truth are embedded within what the person's saying. And her response is,
somewhere with not with us.
Not with us. He's with us. All I've done is tack the word not in there. What I think happens for people when they're in this kind of a state is she's there and we've got to compute so much, which is what the theory is that causes that latency. We've got to compute the fact that I murdered my son, or my partner's son. I don't want anybody to know that. They've asked where they are. I know where they are. They're at home. They're with us. Don't say with us. Don't say with us. But it's taking up so much of their processing power in their mind that they don't have enough space left to come up with a compelling explanation or description. Where might he be? I could lead with that. Or when was the last time I seen him? Or just say, I don't know. We're desperately trying to find anybody who's seen anything. Please let me know. If you were actually genuinely looking for your son, that thought would have been running, where is the child? Where is the child? Would have been running through your head all day long. What I think's been running through her head all day long, or for multiple days at this stage. I think some of the suggestion is weeks. Let me find the timeline again. Is he's with us. What are we going to do? How are we going to get away with this? The fact that the child is still there, I think up to 2 weeks until it started to smell, which is just an awful thought. In statements of Theresa Balboa, the dad's romantic partner, Balboa and Sam's remains were discovered in June 1st in a Best Western motel. So my understanding is what she tried to do is Samuel Olsen's birthday. They reported him missing on May 27th, but he had been missing April 30, he's last seen alive. Dalton Olsen, then May 27th is when Dalton Olsen summons police to his home. And this is when she first tells this story that Samuel's biological mother and a uniformed officer had arrived at the house earlier that day and demanded custody of the boy. So this is where she first started telling this lie that she then later says, oh, that never happened, particularly because they found through mobile phone records that the mum had never left her home that day, certainly hadn't been there. So at this stage, there's a child at home. What I think is going on for her is she's just going, the kid's with us, the kid's with us, the kid's with us, but do not tell them that. Oh, and so it sort of takes her all of this processing time to just end up going, not with us.
What do you think? Where do you think he could be?
Somewhere with...
I think what's also happening here is she's trying to keep half an ear open because you can hear, I think what's happening is both these interviews are happening at the same time. I think there are two cameras at the same spot because you can hear the father going off to the side. I'm not quite able to make out the sounds and I've got headphones on, so I doubt you will, but if you can, let me know. She's trying to listen to what he's saying so she can be like, make sure we've got the stories straight. I hope he's not selling me out. All of these things would be going through your head, which is what I think is causing this latency.
Somewhere with... not with us. And that's the important thing, is that he is not with us and we need to bring him back to us.
So here, the first three things she said, not with us, that's the important thing. That's the thing you need to understand. And then we need to bring him back. It finally gets to the end of like, oh, okay, I want to bring the child back. The first three things she's asserting is like, I'm not guilty. Don't think I'm guilty. Please, no, not me. And then she's going to like, oh, we need to bring him back. But she's not offering any useful information on that front, just information to push and suggest that he's not here.
And that's That's the important thing, is that he is not with us and we need to bring him back to us.
That's the important thing. He's not with us and we need to bring him back to us. Like, these are not the lies of somebody. And this is a really crucial thing, I think, when trying to determine whether somebody's lying. By the way, thank you so much, Mika Ruby Red, for ripping somebody else's video off the internet and then re-uploading it with your watermark on it. Top work. This is one of the crucial things, I think, when trying to determine if somebody's telling the truth. And that is, seem chill, seem relaxed, be on their side, but ask them a question and then just let them answer. Whereas the temptation, I think, can be that we get kind of aggressive and up in someone's face and like, that's not true. It's like, blah, blah, blah. And from there, it's easy to go, no, and just sort of get in a back and forth. Whereas you give somebody enough time to really just paddle and flail around, you can quickly see that she's hearing herself say these things and going, oh, this is very confusing, to like, oh, that's not the right thing, hang on, no, we need to get him back to us. She finally gets onto that track of, this is what's expected of me as a supposedly grieving or concerned mother-in-law, partner of partner of the baby daddy.
That's the important thing, is that he is not with us and we need to bring him back to us. So I can't say where he could be.
Again, notice the words she's using. I can't say where he could be.
So I can't say where he could be, where he might be, like, because honestly, we don't know.
I can't say where he could be, where he might be. To me, sounds like, again, that almost embedded confession thing of, I can't tell you where he could be. I can't, because I'll go to prison and that will be the end of my life as I know it. That will ruin everything for me. So I can't tell you where he could be, where he might be. And then she goes, I want to say I don't know, but it's fighting. Get the words out. I don't know where he is. But she's like, could you have said that at the beginning? We don't know where he is. We've got no idea. We keep racking our brains. We've gone looking here. We've gone looking there. We've been to all of his friends' places. We've been to his grandmother's house. It seems like she's really been blindsided here and is doing her best to try to propagate this lie, and it's not working very well. I think you'd agree.
I can't say where he could be, where he might be, like, because honestly,
watch these shoulders.
We don't know.
We don't know.
At this point, we don't know. All we can do is keep searching and doing, everything we've been doing.
Now she's going to tell us about all she's been doing, everything she has been doing. This is where it starts to pivot, and you can hear that now she's trying to maintain a positive appearance. To get positive regard is such an important thing. We will do so much for positive regard from other people. In most cases, it makes sense to me. It's just a completely adaptive, natural trait, which is if we've got positive regard, we can leverage that into warmth, shelter, food, staying out of prison. If people think she's a good person, they won't look at her so much. But I think it's such an interesting, deep thing to think this. That I think goes beyond just, I don't want to go to prison. It's like, I want people to see me as a good person. Even aside from the material benefits that might yield. I feel like it's a deep-seated, almost biological drive that we all have.
And we're going to continue to do it.
You think he's definitely alive?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that sharp intake of breath. Do you think he's definitely alive? Like, which, sure. If we were to view this and say maybe she's innocent. Indeed, I don't think she's yet been. She's been charged. I don't think she's yet been convicted. So this is just all sort of based on what the prosecutor's saying thus far, police and the prosecutor's saying. So we could have her go, I love this child so much that when you suggested to me this child is missing, I'm like, I don't even want to consider the possibility he's dead. But interestingly, when you look at most of these other videos, I must admit I'm somewhat addicted to them. That thought has crossed their mind from the moment that child goes missing. That thought is crossing their mind, and they don't want to contend with it. And they go, I need to believe he's still alive. I just keep looking. I refuse to believe it. But the thoughts clearly cross their mind. So it doesn't typically, in the videos I've been watching, strike them as a oh my goodness, as a new thought. Whereas if you're the person who killed them and you're desperately trying to avoid a murder charge, then it kind of makes sense.
And we're going to continue to do it.
You think he's definitely alive?
Oh, yeah. We just keep picturing him sitting and watching cartoons waiting for us.
We just keep picturing him sitting watching cartoons waiting for us. I could easily believe that that is somewhere close to a true conversation they've had, that she's been at home with the father crying, saying, I'm so sorry, you know, probably playing a bit of that abuser game of like, I told you that I'm not good with kids, and, you know, he needs to be better behaved, and da-da-da, because I think the suggestion is she picked up something and walloped him on the head and then was like, oh, I didn't know it, you know, just in a fit of anger. It certainly sounds like if she's on bail from assaulting the husband, she's got some violence and anger issues. So I can easily believe that while she's been sitting there having those tender moments with him, he's expressed that, and she's sort of gone along with that. You know, I want to see him there sitting there watching cartoons again. I need to sort of have this hope. I get up in the mornings and I want him to be there, but I know he's not there. I know he's in a plastic tub in the bathroom.
Just sitting there.
Such a horrific thought to think about this.
They're waiting for us, and we're gonna get him. We're gonna find him.
Tell me about your relationship. Did he call you mom? Did he, or at least...
Super mommy.
Did he call you mum? So now there's no latency, right? She hasn't, well, she's kind of finished the question, is adding on an addendum, and she sort of goes, and she's now like, great, I feel like there is this smile here in the corners of her lips. Oops, my hand's disappearing into the ether. There's this smile here at the corners of her lips. She's sort of, I get the impression from this, she strongly feels she was a good mum, stepmom carer to this kid, and now the image management goes into overdrive.
Did he call you mom? Did he, or at least...
Super mommy.
Super mommy.
That was his choice. It wasn't forced. We didn't force him, because I'm like, I don't want to like force that, but you know, he used to call me super mommy.
He used to call me super mummy. Really telling thing if people are using the wrong tense regarding a missing child and they're going, he used to call me super mummy. You've already gone past tense. You've already gone through this time, this sort of grieving process. You're clearly now down with the fact that this is a past tense child.
Or Theresa, you know, it was still uncomfortable for him. You know,
it was still uncomfortable for him.
Because, you know, he's little, he's a kid, and he knows who his mom is, but he also knows that how much I care about him and everything that I've been doing for him and have done for him. So
knows how much I've been doing for him, everything I've done for him. I'm a good person. I think some of that is she thinking, if they think I'm looking after this child, they won't think I've done anything bad to this child. But I think some of it is also like, I want you to see me as a good person. Please, please, please believe these things I'm telling you about how good I am.
We're gonna find him. I know we're gonna find him.
This, she's trying to wrap it up, isn't she? We're going to find him. Good. That's the full stop. Done. Interview over. I think possibly, yeah. Oh, was that the end of that? I thought that continued. Was that the end of it?
I know we're going to find him.
So then the next thing that happens is there is a call where she says, hey, first she talks to her boyfriend and she says, hey, can we get back together? And this is while the child is quote unquote missing. She says, hey, can we get back together? Can I come up and visit you?
The father of Balboa's two daughters is revealing new insight into her troubled past, only to ABC 13's Jessica Willey.
And Jessica, he told you that this situation scares him?
Yeah, Alex Rizzo says Theresa Balboa, the one he knew, was a good mother. He admits their relationship was unhealthy, sometimes even abusive. But while he says he's on a better path, she's in jail.
To know that somebody I loved, cared for, did that to a child, it hurts. It scares me.
There was a time when Alex Rizzo knew Theresa Balboa the best. They were together for at least 10 years. She is the mother of his two daughters.
I've known that girl for a long time, and I know that she's had problems. I know that she's had a difficult life, but I would never have thought something of this magnitude would ever happen.
Alex says they broke up 4 years ago. It was far from amicable. He moved to North Dakota and then Oklahoma for work. 2 months ago, he reached out to her to see if she needed help.
while I'm in the position that I'm in, let me help you do better so that our kids can have their parents. And she went MIA.
In 2019, Theresa lost custody of their children. She didn't even show up to court. They are now being raised by their grandmother, little girls 8 and 6 years old, around Samuel Olson's age.
All I've thought about since I found out about it is my kid in my children and that poor little boy. Like, to be dragged around in a bag in a box as if you're just a freaking trophy, that kills me for that little boy.
So he later says she got in contact with him and said, hey, do you want to get back together? To which he's like, no thanks. At which point in the storyline, that appears that she's got the body in a box, in a plastic tub, and it's starting to smell, and she's worried the police are going to find it. So she's trying to get out of town. She then later contacts a friend of hers who says, I need you to help me. And they've moved the child's body from a tub in the bathroom to a storage facility, but the storage facility is nearby. And then from there, she contacts a friend, says, hey, can you help me pick something up or something like this? And the friend goes to pick it up and is like, what is this tub that stinks? And then drives her up to a motel where Best Western Motel, where the story is that friend then immediately turned around and was like, I think she's got a baby in there. So the police kick in the door and find that she's in the hotel with the baby in there, in the tub. And that's when she's arrested and charged with murder, which is just a horrific series of events. It just don't really know about a sort of so what. What would you do? Like, what can you learn from this aside from that humans can be terrible? I think humans make really bad decisions is some of it. Like, how do you foresee something like that and then head it off? I don't know. I think that understanding that you or somebody has a problem with violence might be a significant part of it. Sort of going, this person's got a problem with violence. Let's get them the help they need. Let's intervene in some way so that they can learn to manage that violence, those outbursts, before this ends up happening. But it's interesting as well, I think, about these interviews is like, what makes you go and give that interview? You know, when you're guilty, and this is the next one we're going to look at, when you're guilty, what makes you go, I'm just going to go talk to the cameras. Now, I think some of it is, as I believe it is in this next case with this guy Caleb Whisnand, where he's killed their child, is the police, I think, have some part in it, where the police say, hey, could you come and give a plea? Partly because the police know that plea will be more effective if it comes from the parents, because the parents will be able to give details that they might not be able to. They might get a little bit wrong or something like that. But also they'll emotively pull people into wanting to now come and help. They'll be like, oh, I've got to come and help because I saw how upset those parents were. So it might garner more leads, I think, is some of the idea. I also wonder if sometimes the police do it because it will give them an opportunity to watch this person in a non-interrogation setting. You put somebody in a room under that stress of an interrogation where they go, oh, hang on, now the police have got me in the frame. It will make sense that they start to say things that are going to make it look like they're defending themselves. Even if they are actually looking for their kid, I can see an ordinary human being getting into a police interrogation room going, suddenly, hang on, the police think that I'm guilty here. So now my focus is going to shift from looking for my kid to expressing my innocence. Whereas in this kind of an interview or TV interview or plea for help, maybe they're getting better raw or just more data. In any case, this other story is a really interesting one and well worth watching.
Come forward to give a statement.
No, she's not good with cameras, so I apologize.
She's not good with cameras, so we apologize. I don't know how to read that, but my suspicion is he fancies himself as a bit of a talker, and he said to her, don't speak. Because, you know, she's gotten really worried, probably getting really worried, going, why are we getting on TV and talking? We know what's happened here. The the child's dead. They both know it. He did it. They're trying to get away with murder. I think she's just been like, what if we slip up, da-da-da-da. And he's gone, don't worry, I'll do all the talking and I'll say she's not really good with cameras.
But we were just like, for anybody that has any information. I don't remember a lot. But I did remember I was breaking up, you know, with the cops, but...
He's really hard to understand what he's saying. And I think this is similar to that question answer latency. And a lot of things that go into the field of deception detection are about looking for extra processing. So there is some suggestion that even the polygraph is what it's getting is spikes, which is nervousness, but also spikes that are caused by something like I'm having to think of too many things at the same time. He doesn't seem like a sharpest knife in the drawer either, so I'm not sure if I'm reading too much into him just not being very good at expressing himself in full sentences and making that look like guilt instead. But listen to how quickly he starts going away from offering useful information and starting to build a kind of alibi and defense.
I don't remember a lot. But I did remember I was breaking up, you know, with the cops, but...
I don't remember a lot, but I remember I was breaking up with the cops, you know. I think that what he's saying here is he starts off with a plea for help and then he's going, what information can I give them? Because they've got this very confusing story that he went out to the petrol station and then came back and the kid was missing, and the police have been questioning him, trying to make that timeline make sense, and it just it doesn't, because she's at home and he goes to the petrol station. So I think the story they've gone to is, we were breaking up, she was dumping me, I got really furious and left the house, and when I came back the child was missing. But because of all of that confusion and because we were breaking up, I don't really remember a lot of what's happened. I think that's the defense he's so far going with.
I know that if anybody's got anything, any places that I could have gone, anybody, you know who you are.
Please say.
Anyone, anywhere, any places I could have gone, you know who you are. None of it makes any sense, does it? It's just all... I think this is the best he can do of going, this is what a parent looking for their child might say. And that is just a bunch of words relating to trying to find this child. Now she speaks up. Now she thinks she can do better. And frankly, I don't know how you could do much worse.
Find him, please.
Please find him, please. That breathing from her, that jagged breathing, doesn't to me sound like the jagged breathing of somebody actually crying. That sounds to me like, as somebody who was an actor and not very good at it, I recognize bad acting when I see it. And that looks like, which is what people do when they're trying to sound like breathing. But anybody who's ever cried, I don't know who hasn't, that jaggedness is much less voluntary. It's it's raspy. It's difficult to manage.
Could have gone anybody. You know who you are.
Please say, find him, please.
Please find him, please.
It would mean a lot.
It would
mean everything to us.
It would mean everything to us. And then he starts grabbing at her again. And this is one of the chief things I do if I'm trying to figure out if someone's lying, and that is, do they want to get off the topic or out of this discussion quickly? Because if you accuse someone of something, or if you're a parent making a plea, like, think about it. Your child's missing. You've got no end to the number of photos, details about him. Is he a herbivore and likes dinosaurs? And I can try the emotional angle, the sort of ethos of trying to make you want to find the child, or I could go the sort of the logos of what's logically going to help with locating this child or determining which child it is, giving you times, dates, height, hair color, anything like that. That I imagine most actual parents, and this is not a hard science, but I imagine most parents would stand on that sheriff's front steps until the sun started to set, until the camera crews were a little bit like, oh, come on, we've got enough, thank you though. You're not going to go out, give virtually no details about this child's disappearance, and then want to wrap up the interview, right? He's been speaking for less than a minute. The police are talking, right? Policeman steps out of frame at 7 seconds in.
No, she's not good with cameras. So.
She's not good with cameras. That's the first thing he said at 10 seconds in. And then?
Please say, find him, please.
It would mean a lot. It would mean everything to us.
And that's again, Sam is that Theresa Balboa one. Now I'm trying to wrap it up. We're done here.
And that's... Family ain't the same without family.
Family ain't the same without family. I think he strikes me as one of those people that says self-evident things and feels like, oh, that's really profound. Rain's wet. But I get the sense now that they're trying to wrap up the whole thing. They're trying to go, right, we're done with this. And that's an understandable thing. We have a bias to want to distance ourselves or move physically away from things that don't make us feel good. So if you get a your dumped letter, right, people want to tear those up. They want to throw them away. They want to burn them. They want to put them in the bin. They want there to be distance. You won't find that people get a letter with really bad news in it. No, you didn't get the job or something like that, and just leave it on the table right next to themselves. Same kind of thing happens for police interviews and things like that. People want to get out of there as quickly as possible. So a useful strategy you can use to determine this, if you're trying to figure out if someone's lying, is bring it up, go around the thing at first. Like I was saying with the Theresa Balboa interview, maintain a kind of, we're just trying to look for the facts here. I'm being really friendly. You want to maintain rapport because they're going to want to maintain rapport back. Because they're going to want to manage their image, but also they're going to recognize that if I suddenly get aggressive when you haven't yet challenged me and directly accused me yet, that's going to look bad. And then to propose the topic and go, right, well, you know, there's been a theft or something like that and some people have mentioned your name. A strategy you can then use is, once you've had a bit of questioning, go to change the topic or something like that, or go, okay, thanks for your time. Because what quite often innocent people are more likely to do is go, no, I'm not going anywhere. We need to get to the bottom of this. Da, 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 da. They'll want to go back through their timeline. They'll want to go back and look through the facts. They'll want to help you find the person who did it or something like that. Whereas the guilty person is more likely to be like, oh, that's it? Because their whole mind has been on the door the whole time. They're like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. So if you're like, oh, well, the door's open if you want it. They'll be through that door as quick as possible. Watch him try to wrap this interview up.
That's for sure.
Look at this weirdly constricting, aggressive way of... Now he's done. He stepped back. He's pointing at people, pointing at somebody else. Make this be over.
We had pictures of the baby too,
and now he's looking around. The sheriff hasn't budged an inch. Good on you, sheriff. I think it's a really key thing in a lot of persuasion stuff is to, rather than get aggressive, just not take the cues, just not follow someone's cues. So they sort of go, do you want to step in now and wrap up this press conference? And the sheriff just doesn't say no, as far as I can see on that. He just doesn't budge. Which is great.
Anything else?
Anything else?
We had pictures of the baby too.
And then he's suddenly like, we need to do more. I see. We've got picture of the baby too. It now gets harder to hear. I'm going to jack up the volume a bit. It gets harder to hear because, as you can see, he stepped almost a meter back from the dais set up with the microphones there.
But we sent him to the investigators.
Photos, but we sent them to the investigators.
Show you all in the press.
Show you all in the press.
But yeah, I don't know if y'all can see these pictures, but
this is the best I can do.
And this is another thing you'll notice about deception, and that is people want to talk for as little as possible, as I was just saying, about the matters at hand. But then if you get them onto a somewhat related topic upon which they know they can tell the truth, they'll tell you a lot. They'll give you all sorts of information that is just absolutely unnecessary. So getting into this like, oh, we've got some photos. We indeed do have some photos. They don't all look great, but all of these photos, unless you're going to go, oh, I've got photos on my phone that I definitely don't want you to see, you can talk at length on that topic. So people will really happily get onto topics that are a diversion from that. You see this a lot in police interviews as well. The sort of, where were you on the night in question? And they're like, don't know, probably at home watching TV. That's all they want to say on the topic. And then you go, so how did you come to get that job? And they'll give you their life story, minute by minute details of what led up to me choosing this job and that boss. His name was Gary and he wasn't very nice to me. No. Because I want to pad out the time and seem like I'm giving up lots of details. What people often don't realize is the effect, really effective deception detection isn't just about looking for these clusters of dodgy behavior, of wanting to pull away from things, of using the wrong tense when discussing something, anything like that, but you're looking not for just a cluster of that questionable behavior. You also want to establish a baseline of what is normal behavior. Now, normal is questionable in these kind of circumstances, but does their behavior shift massively from this topic to that topic, and what might cause that shift?
He's only a month and a week old.
And there's other pictures with us together, but
I didn't.
Trying to crop him and do stuff with this phone is not working very well.
Yeah.
But
So we had some other pictures of us together, but trying to crop them with this phone isn't working very well. Now we get a sentence that makes sense. Now he's able to speak at length, raise his voice a bit, and make sensible, like, not that the statement is sensible, but we can make sense of that statement. Whereas before that, like, anybody, anything, I don't know where I've been, you know who you are, didn't make any sense before.
we send him to the investigator. Hopefully the press gets him. I pray that they do.
Sent them to the investigator. Hopefully the press gets them. I pray that they do.
So
All of this makes
they
sense.
can have a good idea of what he looks like, how
Yeah.
close we are to the family, and how much we'd really appreciate him if he was returned.
And now hear how it's like, I don't know if he's trying. My two theories are right now he's back onto dishonesty territory, and so suddenly he's getting tense and he's struggling to, particularly one of the things like is when you are stressed, you'll get that butterflies in your belly feeling, and that will make it really hard to use your diaphragm. Your diaphragm being down here, really powerful muscle for speaking well. Just useful speaking tip, that one. But he's now gone away from stuff he's comfortable about, where he was speaking and enunciating clearly and making sensible, flowing sentences, to this weird way of speaking. Now let's just take a look at that again, because I do keep interrupting a bit.
So that they can have a good idea of what he looks like.
They can have a good idea of what he looks
How
like.
close we are to the family, and how much we'd really appreciate him if he was returned.
How much would really appreciate him if he was returned.
What's the last thing you guys remember the last time you all were together?
So what was the last thing you remember the last time you were together, I think was that question.
How close we are to the family, and how much we'd really appreciate him if he was
Don't
returned.
have any more volume left to go, I'm sorry.
Can you tell us what the last thing you guys remember the last time you all were together?
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday was the last time we were together. Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Yeah. We were all together sleeping, and well, the baby with me and her in the bed, and Toulouse was in the other room, because we usually,
Just trying to get some more sound.
We usually
I'm going to listen to that
are
again.
Yeah.
The last time you all were together?
Last time you were.
Saturday?
Yeah.
What a weird thing to do. Saturday? And she looks up at her partner. He looks down at her. I don't know what the idea here is. Because you definitely know the last time you saw your child alive, right? You would have been asked that question a chunk of times by cops already, which is why I don't even understand this as a deception thing, because there's a deception thing once you get stuck in a story and you've repeated it a few times, that question answer latency goes down again, as does the stress and extra processing that quite often, because you're repeating something you've said before, it's quite often you get that latency or that extra stress or processing comes from making sure my whole story sticks together. So it could be a bunch of things here. It could just be she's like, are you going to answer this Saturday? Like, take it away from here. It could be that they haven't nailed down a particular story they want to go with just yet. And that would slightly match this, I think, where she's like, Saturday, is that the story we're going with? Because we know the truth of the matter, but we don't want to say the truth. So is that the one we're going with? It's an interesting answer. I want to hear it again.
He was returned.
Can you tell us what the last thing you guys remember the last time you all were together?
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday was the last time we were together. Saturday night.
This is the other thing, and that's copying somebody else's words is another thing that to me is indicative, not so much of deception, but certainly of, it takes less processing to just repeat almost like echolalia, just repeating stuff you just heard the person say. So say, when was the last time you're all together? And his girlfriend turns around, and his partner turns around and says, Saturday? And he goes, Saturday. Saturday was the last time we're all together. It's very easy to put those together and go, I'm not proffering any new information, because that's the concern you have, as you would know from any time you've lied, is any moment I proffer any new information, that is going to have to fit all the other bits of this narrative. So I've got to remember the original true narrative and what actually happened, and some bits of those need to match up with this. Where I said I was needs to be that I wasn't clearly somewhere else at the same time. So I'll go through steps of adding new bits quite slowly or reluctantly. I'll try to not, and that's some of the reason people try to get out of the room. I want to offer no new information so I can just sort of go over that story a few times in my head, figure out what I think might be the best story, and then come back with that. Neither of these people seem like the sharpest knives in the drawer.
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday was the last time we were together. Saturday night.
Also hear that climb in confidence each time he says it. She goes, Saturday? He goes, Saturday. Saturday was the last time we were all together. Saturday night. G'day, Aaron. We're looking at people who have, slight trigger warning, murdered children, and then going to do pleas to the police, trying to sort of pretending they haven't, and they're saying, please help us find our child, and the child's dead. I hope that didn't bother you too much. I realise I probably need like a trigger warning somewhere on the screen, don't I?
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday was the last time we were together. Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Yep. See that climbing level of confidence in what he's saying.
Together sleeping, and well, the baby with me and her in the bed until he was in the other room, because we usually are together as a family, but.
So that's not the last time you saw a child, right? I was sleeping in the bed, like, I think the suggestion was, I need to find this story again. I think the suggestion was they got up and then they had an argument, and then he went out for ciggies and came back and the child was missing, or something like that. So yeah, I think he later is he hit the kid in the head. Goodness, it's horrible what people do to kids. So the 5-week-old Alabama reported missing and then found buried in a rural grave was killed by blunt force trauma, according to newly released documents. The affidavit against Caleb Michael Whisnand Sr., 32, that's the chap we're hearing from, slaying of the infant stunned CJ, states that the baby died of blunt force trauma to the victim's head. No additional information was released. The investigation began late Monday. Oh no, my green screen. The investigation began late Monday about 10:49 p.m. when authorities say they received a 911 call from the Circle K on Wetumpka Highway from the 32-year-old Whisnand saying that his son was missing. Alabama law enforcement agency in the early morning hours of Tuesday issued a missing child alert in CJ's disappearance. The disappearance did not meet the criteria of an Amber Alert, mostly because there was no concrete information about a possible suspect and investigators were receiving conflicting information from the start. The missing child alert said CJ had been missing since Saturday, but lawmen were not made aware of it until Monday night. On Tuesday, the authorities said that for the first time that Whisnand told authorities that a baby had been abducted from his vehicle while at the Circle K. This is this whole confusing story, that's right. However, authorities have not released a timeline of the case nor disclosed any other details. We don't know. Sheriff Derek Cunningham said on Thursday. We're still trying to piece together everything together. Sorry, I'm reading very poorly at the moment. It's hard to give you a definite answer when we still don't have definite answers. Whisnand and CJ mother, 28-year-old Angela Gardner, took part in the press conference late Wednesday afternoon during which Whisnand told reporters, I don't remember a lot, but I did remember I was breaking up, you know, with the cops. If anybody's got anything, any places I could have gone, you know who you are. Please find him, please. So he's claiming the kid got stolen from the car, snatched from the car, and yet he doesn't remember where he was. This is just such a very weird. All right, I'm going to put the screen on and play the rest of the video while I try to fix my screen.
It's not easy.
I don't remember much of.
When did you all realize that he was missing?
They didn't.
I was home with my oldest, my 2-year-old, and he was with, CJ was with him, and he went to go pay gas at the gas station and realized that he was gone. And he let the police know and me know that he was missing.
Do you guys have any idea if someone took him back taking him or?
No.
No, I don't.
I wish we did know.
If we know, we would have already went there.
How's the rest of the family holding up? I know this is a tough ordeal, but
it's been taking a toll on everybody.
Everybody's saying prayers. Everybody's keeping an eye out for him. So.
Again, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office would like to thank the many agencies that have assisted us thus far in this investigation. The local FBI field office has given help to us, as well as Elmore County, Wetumpka PD.
So immediately it looks like that cop's sus. What I think is interesting is how often he's trying to get out of there. He tries a third time, doesn't he? They say this.
He went to go pay gas at the gas station.
Look at how long she remembers this. She's doing this like, what was the sequence of events? It's like you would have just been going, it was here, it was at this station at exactly this time, we were in this color car, this is what happened, because she would have been the first person to interrogate him, right? She would have gone, hey, what's his story? Maybe even thrown to him at this point, hey, tell him again, tell him the story again. You know all of the details. Whereas, very interesting, I think.
We usually are together as a family, but
we usually are together as a family. She's so stressed.
Not easy.
I don't remember much of.
I don't remember much. I feel like she's got a sense like when she's doing that, that's a sort of shame, dejection, looking down. I think some of it is also, I don't want you to see my face right now, which is, I think some of that's with shame as well. We don't want people to look at us, but I think also there's a sense there putting that shield of her phone up is a little bit like, I don't want you to see me while I'm thinking, how can we, this is not going well.
Did you all realize that he was missing?
They didn't.
I was home with my oldest, my 2-year-old, and he was with, CJ was with him. And
there's another thing they also talk about is people's pause or delay or difficulty in saying the name of a child that's been murdered. There's quite often a distancing thing that happens, also using much more passive language. So you'll notice a thing if you hear criminals talk about a crime, it quite often won't be, I went into the gas station and I shot him. It will be like, well, we went into the gas station and then, someone got hurt, which has this whole much more passive way of talking about an assault than an active one. The other one that's quite often is like, it goes from like, CJ, he's my son. He does this, when we saw the woman talking about it.
He loves Buzz Lightyear and Woody and Forky.
She's just so determined to give as many details as humanly possible. He loves Woody, he loves Porky, da, 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 da. Whereas in this, she's like, she balks at even saying CJ's name.
Home with my oldest, my 2-year-old, and he was with, CJ was with him, and
she knows she's got to say it. She's like, I've said it too weirdly silent. CJ was with him. Like I was rephrasing myself. It could be that she was rephrasing herself, but he was with CJ makes just as much sense. It doesn't, to me, make sense why you would want to rephrase that.
He went to go pay gas at the gas station and realized that he was gone.
Went to go pay gas at the gas station and realized he was gone.
Okay. And he let the
like that weird yep, that's what we're going with. Like, I know it's ridiculous, but it's the best story we could come up with.
Police know and me know that he was missing.
Now, wants to get out of there again. Please let me out. Pulls her, looks, please rescue me. Somebody throw me a lifeline.
No.
No, I don't.
What was that
I
question?
wish we did know. No.
Do you know, or do you think somebody might have taken him? I think was the question.
I wish we did know.
If we know, we would have already went there.
If we know, we would have already went there. I mean, sure, it's a true statement. It just took you a while to get there.
How's the rest of the family holding up? I know this is a tough ordeal, but
it's been taking a toll on everybody.
Now he's stepping up, trying to leave again, and then he's trying to make it like, I'm not trying to leave, but notice how much he's tried to get out of there now. This is like his 4th attempt. Please get me out of this very uncomfortable situation.
Everybody's saying prayers. Everybody's keeping an eye out for him.
Now he weirdly moved to there. Now he's like, okay, let's go. Touching her on the back, which I think is that meant to look like comforting, but I think at the same time is a little bit like, you know, when you go and touch your partner and be like, hey, remember we were meant to be dressed 20 minutes ago. Now, again, 2 more of these looking pleas to be like, please get me out of here before the sheriff comes back in. Is like, okay, I'll let them off. Like, I'll let them escape this place now. Yeah, I think it could be such useful information. I came up with another theory of why they encourage this plea, and that is, of course, the obvious one that I mentioned before is if the child is missing and not murdered, I obviously need to be able to do that. The second one I was saying is be able to observe the person's behavior. But the other one is it gives you a chance to interrogate somebody and have them be held to something without needing to be Mirandized, right? Because if this goes on public, on the news, and this is the press conference you gave while it's on the news, I'm fairly sure that could be produced as admissible evidence. I don't know how or why you could get that excluded as admissible evidence in a court trial. So it's possibly could just be like, we want to get these people convicted. I want the jury to see them make this fake plea. So it might increase the chance we catch them and the chance that we convict them.
Again, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office would like to thank the many agencies that have assisted us thus far in this investigation. The local FBI field office has given help to us, as well as Elmore County, Wetumpka PD, Montgomery Police Department, and a host of other agencies.
All right, so it's just giving shout outs to other police departments. So altogether, I find it a really interesting phenomenon, this whole idea of people giving a plea, hey, bring my partner back, bring my kid back that's missing. I hope you found it an interesting look at how people deceive and not just a gory, exploration of the terrible ways humans can behave, which I guess it also was that as well. And if it was, I'm sorry for that. I'm just addicted to these things. I don't know if you are, but I just eat so easily. Oh, it is starting to fall down. Just addicted to these things. So if you're interested in more of these, let me know. Put any comments down below for any that you would like to see deconstructions for or persuasion chats being talked about. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for dropping by.